in Clark County there is where we are having some of the strongest storms. And then in terms of gusty winds, and look at just how much lightning we've got in these storms as well. So a lot of lightning activity. So regardless of if these are tornado warned or not, they're still dangerous with the very strong winds, with the lightning, with the potential for hail. And that's why we do have severe thunderstorm warnings for several of these storms as they are making their way off to the east. So let's go ahead and put a track on these once again, especially for the southern portions here. We know that it's going to make its way into Jefferson County in about a half hour for Metro Louisville. But in terms of Radcliffe, E-Town, Hodgenville, Sonora, you're going to get hit rather shortly here as well. These storms are making their way east at about 30 miles per hour. So Radcliffe in about 10 minutes, E-Town 20 minutes, Lebanon Junction 25 minutes, and then over a half hour for Hodgenville. So those areas still have time to get inside, to get into a safe spot as these storms continue to make their way through. We do have some very gusty winds. Kristen, have we had any damage reports yet? Anything of wind reports or wind damage, anything like that yet?
No, I've actually been keeping a close eye on the National Weather Service chat room, and we've actually been getting just some hail reports, nickel-sized hail north of New Albany, and that's actually not even a warned storm just yet. We have pea-sized hail on County Line Road that is actually in Sellersburg, Indiana, and so pretty much across portions of Indiana, this is where we're getting some reports of hail. And I switched over to the hail mode here to kind of show you what we're looking at as far as different sizes of hail that we're seeing.
So here's that storm that I was talking about, that really strong storm just north of New Albany. And there we go. We've got areas where we could have some pretty large hail there. You mentioned nickel size, so that's about an inch in for hail, and the coins are a good measure. So if you do have any storm reports, if it's safe to be outside, don't go outside if it's not safe. But if you have some hail, if you can send us photos at yourphotos@WHAS11.com, only if it's safe to do so. Send us your photos. Let us know what you are seeing in your neighborhood, especially if you are in southern Indiana here. So Jeffersonville, there's a spot that I was talking about earlier on, 5 to 10 minutes before you're getting hit with this very strong storm here. Prospect, 15 minutes. Worthington Hills, 20 minutes. Crestwood, 25. So we still have some time in those spots, but there is some very, very heavy rain. As you can see, some of the more burgundy colors, the darker reds, with that very heavy rain and hail that we are getting in those spots. Just north of the metro. For the metro, you're going to get hit by the storm that's around Corydon and Valley Station. This is still making its way to the east. So these showers and storms here, they're moving to the east towards LaGrange. So Newcastle, LaGrange, you're getting hit hard with some storms now, but you still have more on the way. So these showers and storms are going to continue to hit the same spots over and over and over. And this is already an area under flash flood warnings that have had heavy rain showers, a lot of rain over the course of the last 48 to 72 hours. And it does look like we're getting more warnings for flash flooding. They go until 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. for Charlestown, Sellersburg, LaGrange. So if you see small creeks and streams, if you see water on the roadways, you have to stay away from those areas. It's very, very dangerous to try to travel through any water-covered roads, regardless of how deep you think it is. It doesn't take much rain or much water at all to pick up a car and move it, and less for a person. Only 6 inches of running water for a person and 12 inches for a vehicle. As we saw with our last event around the metro area, there was a lot of stranded vehicles, and that's not something that you want to be a part of. So severe thunderstorm warnings continue just outside of the metro area. We are expecting the severe thunderstorm warning to get extended as it does make its way to the east. So these are going to continue through much of the evening hours. I know this is a bad time. A lot of people are going to want to leave work. If you're at work, or if you have friends and family that are at work, might be a good idea to text them and say, hey, just stay there for maybe another hour or so while these storms make their way through the area, because it's not going to be a good idea, and it's not going to be fun at all to try and drive through this. I can only imagine how bad visibility is with that heavy rain in that hail, on top of the amount of traffic that we've got in Metro Louisville around this time of year. So flash flood warnings continuing for Breckenridge County. This is for 7 p.m. and on top of the severe thunderstorm warnings. The good news is we don't have any tornado warnings any longer. The tornado warnings have been since expired, and we just have severe thunderstorm warnings at now. But we have this bowing line. It was a straight line earlier on, and now it has bowed out, and that's why we have some of the stronger winds around Meade County, Breckenridge County. So this will continue. It does sound like we've gotten possibly a new warning or an addition to one of the warnings.
Yeah, we have actually, this is in effect for Metro Louisville. As we have been saying, they were going to extend this warning, but this severe thunderstorm warning goes until 5:40 Eastern Daylight Time. So I'll put a track, or I'll put the warnings back on here so you can see where the warnings that we have around the area. And
so another 27 minutes for this warning. And this storm is not in Jefferson County just quite yet, but it is on its way. So about 5:40, we are expecting this storm to make its way into Metro Louisville. And we're starting to get this bowing out once again around the Corydon area, more towards the north and east. So there could be some very strong winds there as well. And then the other spot you see that bowing is just west of Valley Station. So some damaging winds possible there as well.
Brian, I'm going to actually put a track on this for you. This is where we actually have that new warning storm that is in effect for parts of Jefferson County. So not necessarily, as I talked about, that new warning storm that was just popped up, but here is the one that's in effect for 5:40.
Here's that one. This is where the one we were showing you in Sellersburg, where we have the potential for some very large hail. That's the new warning. So for Clark County into Jefferson County and into Oldham County, Prospect, Crestwood, LaGrange, Prospect, 5 minutes for the largest portion, the heaviest portion of this storm to make its way through. Worthington Hills, 15 minutes. Crestwood, 20 minutes. LaGrange, about 30 minutes. So we put a track on that earlier. That's that spot that we showed you where there is the potential for some very large hail, gusty winds. That's what we're watching out with for these storms. So again, that's just north of Metro Louisville. But that other storm is headed towards Metro Louisville here rather shortly, probably about 15, 20 minutes at this point in time. And as I mentioned, around Corydon, it does look like we are getting a little more bowing there. So it's possible that there's some very, very gusty winds behind that storm. What you have happen is that when you get that kinking in these storms, behind that is where we have very, very gusty winds. So here we go. Here's the track on that one. It does look like New Albany in just about 5 minutes for this portion of the storm. So you'll get some moderate rain at first, and then right behind that, that very heavy rain. Metro Louisville, about 10 to 15 minutes now. Prospect, 20 minutes. Fern Creek, a half hour. And then Crestwood, just a little over a half hour for this storm. So this is going to continue for us through the next 30 minutes to an hour before all of these are out of here. And we're probably going to continue to get severe thunderstorm warnings through the 6, 7 o'clock hour until they're out of Shelbyville, Taylorsville, Frankfort. So in those spots around Newcastle as well, you're getting some pretty heavy rain right now. But the heaviest of the storms, the strongest of the storms, still off to the west around Hardinsburg, Bradenburg, Corydon, Sellersburg, and that is headed to the east. These are all moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So we're going to continue to track these for you, let you know that you do need to be inside for these. These are very strong storms, gusty winds with hail and the potential for a lot of lightning. If we look at the amount of lightning, it is probably just a vibrant light show out there, and this is just outside of Jefferson County here. So, again, if you got friends and family and they're at work right now and they haven't left yet, I would shoot them a text, give them a call, and say, listen, stay where you are for the next hour or so that these storms can move on by, because traveling in this would be, I think, just a nightmare with the amount of heavy rain, the winds, and the hail and lightning.
Now, if you're just tuning in right now, wondering why we're pretty much going wall to wall with this line as it moves on through, earlier in the last 10 or 15 minutes, we did have several tornado warnings along this line. And thankfully, we don't have any more tornado warnings, but we are looking at some very strong wind gusts with this. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings that are pretty much in effect, and you can see all the lightning. I'm sure if you live in Jefferson County, if you live downtown, or if you're still at work downtown, you're looking outside your window wondering, okay, what is going on around my area? So pretty much what we have going on right now, we have still some very heavy rainfall, Sellersburg, all the way back through Harrison County, Corydon. This line is all going to be heading towards Metro Louisville next 10, 15 minutes or so. So heads up, as Brian has been saying, if you do not have to head home just yet, wait about 30 minutes or so, and then you should be good to head home. But not only are we seeing some powerful wind gusts from this system, but some very heavy rainfall. Rainfall we pretty much don't need. We still have a lot of flash flood warnings that go until about 7 or 7:30 for tonight. So pretty much all along this line that Brian is putting a track on for you, this is where we're concerned of some very strong wind gusts, damaging wind gusts of maybe up to about 70 miles per hour. So if you see